Hi, this is Claire from Inspiratrix Yoga. This class is focused on the breath. We will move, but it's about leading with the breath and starting every movement with the breath and placing the breath at the heart of your feeling experience. Enjoy. Everybody be on your back now and have your right hand on right knee, left hand on left knee. And the way this one goes is you inhale and feel the belly expand and the knees move a little away from the chest. And then on the exhale, the belly drops back and you pull the knees towards the chest a little. So inhale, belly expands and the knees move a little away from the chest. It's not a big movement. Exhale, knees move closer to the chest. Doing that a few more times. Really letting any movement be created by the breath. Still with that sense of slowing down and deepening. Letting the breath be the leading edge. As if every movement starts with the breath. Tuning into that in this simple breath and movement experience here. Then let go of the knees, let the feet come down to the floor. Take one hand onto the belly and one hand onto the chest. Noticing the movement of your natural breath. And easing into deepening and lengthening the breath. Noticing moments you lose that connection. Not beating yourself up. Just coming back into connection with how's my breath. Letting it slow, letting it deepen. Windscreen wiper twist. Stretch the arms out to the sides. And finding a way of the breath leading this movement. Slowly twist the knees from one side to the other. Feeling like any movement is initiated by the breath. Whether it feels good to go slowly or to go fast. Really being in breath connection. It's like letting the breath lead. Just twisting side from side. In a way that's super connected to the breath. And then come to an end with that twist. Slowly roll onto one side. And on an inhale, press the hands into the floor and come up. Coming into a seated position again. Let's do some shoulder warm-ups, but in a way where we're again tracking the breath. Start by interlacing the hands together. Inhale and reach the insides of the hands away. Exhale, lower the hands down. On inhale, bring the hands up just as far as feels like a nice stretch in the shoulders. It's going to be different for everybody. Exhaling, letting the arms lower down. And then finding your own rate and rhythm with this. Moving with the breath. At a rate that feels like it's your breath's rate and your body's rate. Do one more before relaxing the arms. And then give them a shake. For me, moving in this way feels a lot more tuned into the fascia, which is the connective tissue that's, part of us is bones, part of us is muscle, but then there's all this other stuff in between, all this wrappings around the muscles and all kinds of other stuff. When I'm moving this way, I'm much more aware of the connective tissue as being part of that movement. Let's do just a really, really simple twist. Cross the hands over on the chest. And then you'll just twist one way and twist the other way. Just more twisting the mid-back. And again, finding your own rate of movement that feels like it's your rate of movement, the movement of your tissues. The rate of your breath. Just easing from side to side. And then let that movement end. Relax the arms. We will work with shoulder shrugs now. We've done this many times before, but I'll talk you through one round. And then you can do a couple of rounds on your own at your own rate. So inhale, sending the breath to the shoulders. Pause, send the shoulders up and back. Top of shoulder blades squeeze together. Exhale, slide down. Inhale, arms are relaxed. Middle of the shoulder blades squeeze in together. Exhale, sliding them down. Inhale, relax the arms. Squeeze the bottom edges of the shoulder blades together. Exhale, slide them down. Do 2 more sets of 3 like that, at your own rate, in your own way. Being tuned into the breath and being tuned into how does my body want to move. In an easeful way. A sense of that movement emerging from inside, rather than from an outside idea. Next, we'll do some transverse abdominus contractions with arm movements. Start with the hands on the belly. Inhale, expanding into the belly and the back ribs. Exhale, gather the belly in. And also take the arms out to the side to about shoulder height, or a little bit higher if the shoulders feel fine going a bit further. Inhale, arms come down. Then on the exhale, making that belly connection, gathering in the belly as you raise the arms up. And then keep going with this pattern. Finding your own rhythm with it. Moving at the rate that your body wants to move. Really being in tune with the breath. So the breath is a big part of what can initiate that movement. Let that be the last one. And then come onto your hands and knees. So for cat-cow, let's do this as a bit more of a flowing movement today. Again, to be in that sense of breath and movement. Let's do this. If you take the hips back towards the heels to begin with, then inhale, tilt the tailbone up, let the belly drop down, lift the chin, and bring the weight forwards a little. Then on the exhale, press into the hands, round the back, tilt tailbone down, and bring the hips towards the heels. Not all the way to child's pose, just a little bit. Inhale, reverse the direction of the spine, tilt tailbone up, Let belly soften down, lift chin. Coming forwards with your center of gravity. Exhale, tilt tailbone down. Push the mid back up. Bringing your center of gravity towards the feet. And then keep going with this. Finding your way of doing it. And doing this at a pace and a rate that works for you. Being led by the breath. Moving in a way that feels good for your body. Giving yourself permission to play with this. Finish off with that. If it feels fine on your knees to come into child's pose, take your hips back into child's pose. If that doesn't feel so good on the knees, come onto the back and do the same thing with the knees going in towards the chest. Whilst you're in this like ball position, whether you're doing child's pose on the front or the back, again, feeling the wave of movement associated with the breath. The expansion and the contraction. And then we'll all come onto our backs to do some abdominal work. Let's take 2 cushions. Yeah, 2 cushions. If you have a yoga bolster or some yoga blocks, you could use them instead of one of the cushions. For this next one, we'll just have the cushion between the thighs. So we'll be doing some half bridge lifts. So set up the feet for bridge, about hip distance apart and parallel. And then, unless your cushion's really fat, fold it in half or roll it up. And then have the hands resting on the floor. Inhale and actively press the heels and balls of the feet down. Exhale, squeeze the cushion, activate the lower butt muscles, and let the hips tilt up an inch or 2. Inhale, let the hips relax down. On the exhale, squeezing the inner thighs, squeezing lower buttocks, lifting the hips and gathering the belly into. Inhale, resting back down. Keep going with these. Finding the rate at which it feels good to do them. A sense of moving at a pace that feels good for your breath, for your body. Make that the last one. And then rest with the hips on the floor. Feeling the ebb and flow of your breath. Then we'll move to doing some abdominals with the hips elevated. I need to show these the other way around. So you'll take your second cushion, or if you've got a bolster or yoga blocks, you could use that, and place them underneath the back of the hips. Let's work first with Oblique Toner. You'll need the cushion back between the thighs, and you could do this with the legs straight up in the air, and the legs will be going side to side, or you could do this with the knees bent to a right angle. Either of those leg positions is fine. Let's start off with the legs, and then we'll add an arm movement as well. Inhale and activate the legs more by spreading the toes out and either flexing the feet if the legs are bent, or if the legs are straight, you could reach the balls of the feet up towards the ceiling. Exhale, squeeze the thighs onto the cushion and rock the legs over to the left, just a little way. It's not a full twist. Inhale, legs come back to the middle. Exhale, squeeze the cushion, legs track over to the right. Inhale, legs come back to the middle. Exhaling, moving with the breath. Legs go left. Inhale, legs come to the middle. Exhale, legs go to the right, squeezing the cushion. Inhale, legs back to the middle. If you want to add in the arm movement, clasp the hands together above the chest. Exhale, legs go left, arms go to the right, right elbow coming down to the floor, looking to the right if you're doing the arm thing. Inhale, legs come back up, right hands come back above the chest. Exhale, squeeze the cushion, legs to the right, arms to the left. Left elbow could come down to the floor, looking to the left. Inhale, back to the middle. And then keep going at your own rhythm. Leading with the breath. Feeling for finding a pace that suits your body. Next time your legs go to the right, let that be the last one. And then when you come back to the middle, bend the knees, bring the feet down, bring the arms down. Just rest for a moment or two in a supported bridge, keeping the prop underneath the hips. Without breath, we don't have life. So letting this miracle of the breath be really central. Let's do scissors straddle now. With this one, we'll keep the support underneath the back of the hips and then take the legs straight up in the air. Inhale, make the feet active. Exhale,
Take the left leg away from the chest and bring the right leg towards the chest. Right leg can bend a tiny bit, left leg stays straight. Inhale, legs come back up. Exhale, scissors the other way. Right leg is moving away from the chest, left leg's moving towards the chest, maybe bending a little. Inhale, come back to the middle. Now straddle. When the legs are in the middle, you take both out to the sides. Exhale, gather the belly in. Stretching the thighs out to the sides. Inhale, legs come back in. Exhale, left leg away from the chest, right leg towards the chest. Scissors. Inhale, legs upright. Exhale, scissors the other way. Inhale, legs upright and then out into straddle. Just straight out to the sides. Exhale, gather the belly in. Inhale, legs back together. Do 2 more rounds. So like 2 scissors and 1 straddle. Moving at the rate your body wants to move. And then once you've done with the second straddle, bend the knees, bring the feet to the floor. Resting again with the hips slightly lifted. Supported by the cushion or the bolster or the block. Observing your breath. The breath coming, the breath going. Noticing if there's any simple describing words you'd use for your breath in this moment. And then ease yourself off the props, bring the hips down to the floor. Roll over onto one side. We'll do some sun salutations next, and with these sun salutations we will mix up a few different lunge positions to warm up the hips in some different ways. If you know that your knees benefit from some extra padding in suns, when we come down into lunges, have a cushion or a blanket nearby that you can use for that. Then come to stand at the short end of your mat. Bring your hands into prayer position. And now you're in an upright position. Observe if the breath is subtly different. And come back to that sense of moving with the breath, and the breath being the leading edge. So as we go through these suns, It's a bit like as we move through these suns, it's quite interesting to start the breath consciously before you start the movement and find out how that feels. So starting with an inhale, then lift the arms up. Move on to an exhale, and then lower the arms into a forward bend, hinging at the hips. Lunge. Inhale, left leg goes back, knee to the floor, arms up in the air. Let's stay here in lunge. Exhale, letting the hips drop forwards. Staying with the breath. And if you lose the breath, just coming back to the breath. Next time you exhale, then bring the hands to the floor. Inhale and move into plank. Exhale, lower down to the floor. Inhale into cobra. Let's do some cobra push-ups. Exhale, lower down to the floor. Inhale up into cobra. Exhale, lower down. 2 more of those. Honoring your own rhythms. However your body wants to move today. However fast or slow your body wants to move. Take an inhale here. And then on the exhale, move into downward dog. Lunge. Inhale, left foot forward. Right down. Arms come forwards. Exhale. Let the hips come a little more forwards too. Pausing here. Being really aware of the breath. Without adding more effort to the breath. Keeping the breath flowing with a minimum of effort. Then relax the arms down. Step your right foot forwards into a forward bend. And hang out in a forward bend with the knees a little bent, arms really floppy. Just being aware of a few breath cycles. And then walk your hands up onto the legs. Lift yourself up. Let's go through another round. Inhale, arms forwards. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, right leg back for twisting lunge. Bring the right knee to the floor and then have right hand down on the floor, left hand up in the air. Staying here for a few breaths. Being aware of each breath. Next time you exhale, bring the left hand down. Inhale and come into plank. Exhale, come down to the floor. Inhale into a cobra, and we'll stay hitting cobra for a few breaths. Press the top of the thighs down to the floor. Press the top of the feet down towards the floor and connect to your lower butt muscles. Next time you exhale, lower down and shift into downward dog. Twisting lunge. Inhale, step the right foot forwards. Exhale, left knees down on the floor, left hand down on the floor, right hand up. Lean back a little with the top arm. Tracking your breath. Then bring your right hand down to the floor and step forwards. Inhale and uncurl all the way up. Bring the arms forwards. Exhale, hands into prayer. One more round. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, left leg back for Maine Coon cat stretch. Bring both hands to the inside edge of the right foot. And then your left knee is up off the ground a little. If you're very flexible, you might be able to bring the elbows down to the floor. But if it feels better to stay on the hands, stay on the hands. Feeling for there still being space for your breath. Time for your breath. Inhale, make your way to plank. Exhale, lower down to the floor. For boat with the hands clasped, interlace your hands together behind the butt. Inhale, lift the chest and shoulders up off the floor and the legs off the floor, but keeping the legs straight. Exhale, reach your knuckles towards the feet. Come out of boat and into downward facing dog. Maine Coon cat stretch on the other side. Left foot comes forward, then both hands are to the inside of the left foot. And up off the ground. Working this either with the hands on the floor or the elbows on the floor. Into a forward bend. Let's hang out here again. Bend the knees a lot. Let the head relax forwards. And then sway your arms from side to side. Staying aware of each breath. And then stand all the way up. Bring the arms forwards at the end. Then bring the hands back into prayer position. So let's do a couple of things on the back to wind down before we come into Shavasana. So let's come on to, it'll be like Baddha Konasana on the back. So you'll be having your feet together and holding onto the feet, but also trying to bring the feet above the chest. If your feet feel a long way away, you could just hold on to the legs, or if you've got a scarf or belt nearby, you could hook that around the feet. Just hanging out here in this position. Soles of the feet together, knees going out to the side. Baddha Konasana on the back. Being aware of yourself as a breathing being. And then let go of the feet. Bring the soles of the feet together to the floor. Arms out to the side. And then come into a windscreen wiper twist. Moving at your own rate. Letting the breath be the leading edge of the movement. Letting the breath lead the movement. Doing this in a way that feels nice right now. Whether it's just going a little way or going a little further. Conscious of the breath. Conscious of your body. And how our perception of both breath and body are so linked. We could sort of separate them, but also sort of not separate them. The movement of the breath changes what we perceive through each moment. And whatever we felt in the previous breath or the previous pose, or an hour ago or a day ago, it's always shifting. And the only real moment is the one we're in right now. That's the most effective one to deal with, most of the time. Twisting once more to each side, and then making your way into Shavasana, into whatever resting position would feel good for you right now. Taking any props you need. Making any modifications you need so you can be comfortable. And then keeping that awareness of breath, but continuing to let the amount of effort reduce and reduce. So maybe your breath stays deep, maybe your breath will go more shallow, it doesn't matter. But really leaning into and trusting your natural breath. Because even though we spend all this time and effort in yoga deepening the breath and smoothing the breath and lengthening the breath, we've been breathing without thinking about it and without being conscious of it our whole lives. If it feels good to stay in observation, stay in a very light observation of the breath. If it feels good to let your attention just drift, then feel free to do that. Just letting yourself drop into a deeper state of rest. Shavasana.
Noticing your breath. And feeling for allowing the breath to deepen without effort. And then let the breath initiate movement as you begin to move again. Just moving however you would like to move right now. Whatever movement emerges from inside. And if you want to stay resting on the floor, feel free to stay resting on the floor. If you want to come to an upright position, then doing that in a way that feels good for your body. So thank you for joining me for practice today. I hope you found this leading with the breath interesting. I'd love if you could share some aspect of your experience in the comments below, because we all experience things differently and it's fascinating to me. Please leave me a comment below so I can hear about it. And if you want to hear more from me, head over to my website, which is inspiratrix.co.uk. There's my full schedule up there of virtual classes, more links to my YouTube classes, details of all my in-person retreats and trainings too. And to be notified of all the YouTube offerings, click on subscribe. Thank you for being here today. Goodbye.